And guys, speaking about Black erasure, excluding Black people, that is happening in real time in every sort of facet that you can imagine, but especially in politics, and especially if you are somebody who is not willing to play the game. So, as I mentioned at the top of the show, the state of Virginia, rather the Commonwealth of Virginia, is in a governor's campaign. It's a pretty tight one. It's a contentious race between Terry McAuliffe, who used to be the governor at one point, and also Clintonite, he served in the Clinton administration, is going up against Republican Trumper, Glenn Youngkin, who is a businessman who worked for the Carlyle Group, so he's a sinister ass villain. And Terry McAuliffe is a villain too. Like, fuck him. Like, neither one of these cats is on the up and up, right? And so this past Tuesday, there was a gubernatorial debate held in Northern Virginia. And, I live in the DC area, so the DC media market has been rinsed with all of these ads from Terry McAuliffe and Glenn Youngkin. So even though I don't live in Virginia, I watched the debate live because, I'm a Politico. I'm interested in this bullshit, right? But the debate got good. The debate got good. First of all, it was Miracle Whip versus mayonnaise on stage, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. But the debate got good when the debate got disrupted. And I'm sitting at home like, ooh, this is great. Yes, thank you. Somebody stand up and call out all of this white on white chicanery to the exclusion of everybody else's issues, right? It's white guy versus white guy, rich white guy versus rich white guy, something that we've seen play out ad nauseum in our politics. But take a look at this. Tunde, cue up C1 for me, if you could, okay? Meet the Press's Chuck Todd was one of the moderators of this debate. So I want you guys to take a listen and take a look at to when the debate basically got shut down.
Glenn Youngkin will roll back all common sense gun protections. So he'll not have background checks. And guess what? Criminals will get guns, they'll kill civilians, and they'll kill law enforcement.
Thank you.
He is too dangerous to be governor of the Commonwealth.
Thank you. Mr. Youngkin.
If I was candidate on the ballot, Terry, why am I not allowed on the stage? Right. As governor, I will defund the police.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let's give this a minute.
I agree.
All right. Thank you. All right. All right. All right. Security.
I will not back down. And I will not do. We want to talk about police crime and talk about people about the wide area. We must get to the wide area where they call these continuously rising.
All right. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Well, we are back live here in Alexandria with the two candidates for governor of Virginia that are on this stage. We're going to pick up where we left off.
Now, when Chuck Todd came back and said that little slick shit, I was, and I'm sure like most people who are watching live at home were like, what does that mean? We're here with the two governor candidates on the stage. Like, because I was thinking it was, an about it protester out there righteously disrupting this. But I come to find out that no, the person who stood up and disrupted righteously that debate is actually a candidate for governor, and not just some writing candidate, an official candidate for governor, and she is a Black woman, everybody. Her name is Princess Blanding. Tunde, pop up C2 for me if you could, because a lot of the local press there initially was reporting this as just as a protester disrupting this. But the sister from CNN, her name is Eva McCand, posted this to her Twitter timeline. And this is Miss Blanding in the moments immediately after being escorted out of that debate. Let's take a look.
candidate for governor on the ballot.
And what did you just do there?
I just made it very clear that I am a candidate to let Virginians know that their censorship of my candidacy is racist. It is very sexist. It is very oppressive. And it's a form of voter suppression. Their goal is to make sure that Virginians don't know that I exist so that they feel that they have to choose between the lesser of two evils.
How are you being censored?
They will not allow me to participate in the debates. I made it on the ballot. They have an already made base. I had to work 10 times harder to get on that ballot just to be told that I'm not allowed to debate. I have to come and sit in the audience. I mean, that is a bunch of bullshit. That's exactly what it is.
Do you think?
And then no police come when this man is literally physically pushing against me. He's taking his big body and he's pushing up against me. Not one police officer comes. We're not going to sit here and talk about it. I was told that this is for the business class. Well, guess what? Those are two millionaires. I made less than $1,500 during the last reporting. In order to get on the ballot, I had next to no money, but I stayed boots on the ground. And people, Virginians across the board, Republican, Democrat, and Independent, signed that petition in order to get me on. But they are trying to silence me so that no one knows that I am a candidate on the ballot, and they feel that they have to choose between the lesser of the two evils. I will not be silenced.
Do you think shouting down the debate is the best way to do it? You could just call a press conference.
Well, guess what?
Right?
And every time I do an interview, most of the press do not even air it, or they will misquote me. Okay, so guess what? I refuse to play by the games and the rules of the duopoly. In order for Virginians to ensure our rightful place, we will take it. I am not going to ask anymore. We have been told to trust the system, and the system is meant to keep third-party candidates oppressed, to make sure that people don't know about us. I have done everything that I needed to do in order to get on the ballot. Why am I not able to participate in the debate? We have these two rich white men that are sitting up there, and you don't hear anyone reporting that I am the only black woman in the history of Virginia to ever make it on the ballot. But I can't have my voice heard. I can't speak and represent the voices, needs, and concerns of all Virginians. Again, it's not okay. And for people to sit in there, all I'm listening to around me is people talking about their timeshares and their investments when we have people who don't have anywhere to lay their heads at.
Burn It Down with Kim Brown fam, Fire fam. I'd like you guys to join me in welcoming the candidate for Virginia's governor representing the Liberation Party. Y'all, Princess Blanding is joining us today on Burn It Down with Kim Brown. Princess, it is an honor to speak with you, and I'm so grateful that you were able to make time to be with us today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
There are a lot of flame emojis in the chat right now because a lot of people could understand the sentiment behind your very justified anger. And I want us to talk about that first. I want you to talk to us about what your platform is and the issues that you're running on. But first, about this debate on Tuesday night, what exactly did you stand up and say to both Terry McAuliffe, Glenn Youngkin, and the media panelists there who were moderating the debate?
Right. You know, I made it clear that I am a candidate on the ballot. I, have earned that. Yeah, we worked really hard to get on the ballot. Why am I not allowed to participate in the debate? The Nova Chamber of Commerce, my team reached out and asked, can I participate? And what we were told is that I could not participate. However, I can sit in the audience and watch and meet with the press afterwards. And to me, that felt like, Princess, you paid your dues to get on the bus, so you can get on the bus like everybody else, but you're going to sit to the back of the bus. And that did not sit well with me. I was not going to be silent about it.
It was absolutely Black woman erasure as to why that you were not invited to sit up there. And when I heard Chuck Todd, especially now understanding what the situation was that happened, when Chuck Todd called for security, I said, you know what? How exactly were you handled when they escorted you out or asked you to leave the debate?
Yeah, so there's a lot of misinformation out there. Honestly, I don't even think I heard him call for security because I was on a road. Right. However, after I looked at it later, I did see that, police did come over, but the police never said a word to me. None of the police in uniform, at least, that I could identify as being a police officer, never said a word to me. They never touched me. There was a white guy, heavyset white guy, literally taking his body and pushing me, until someone on my, that came with me got in between us. But another white guy came and said to me, I'm going to need you to leave. I said a couple of words to him. And then I said, well, I've said everything that I needed to say. So now I will leave. And I turned around and I walked away. And before I left out of the auditorium, I turned to Terry and said, Terry, you will not win this race. So no one physically touched me. None of the police officers that were marked police officers said a word to me.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you were not assaulted, at least, because we know how people can get when it comes to Black women's bodies, right? But I wanted to talk about really the historical significance of your campaign, because Princess, I'm ashamed to say that I was not aware of your campaign literally before Tuesday. And obviously that has, at least in part, to do with the media's erasure of your campaign, and even the fact that you're running. I mean, that was proof positive during that debate. You were not up there with the other two candidates. So talk to me about the organizing and the efforts that went into you even able to be on the ballot for governor.
Sure. So let's first understand that, I'm not a career politician. I'm an impacted Virginian. I'm a veteran educator, mother of 3 amazing daughters. And my decision to run for governor is due to the continuous failures of the two-party system, specifically the Democratic Party that has historically taken advantage, of the Black vote, of the votes of the most marginalized community members. And, my spark started in 2018 after the unjust murder of my brother, Marcus David Peters, who was a high school biology teacher at the school that I was an assistant principal at. My brother was murdered while he was unarmed, completely undressed, and experiencing his very first mental health crisis, and his murder was deemed a justifiable homicide. Myself, family members, and a growing base of community members from 2018, up until today, have begged our local and state legislators, hey, we can't bring Marcus back, but let's enact legislation that ensures that a person having a mental health crisis receives help, not death, and that mental health experts, answer those calls, and not police officers who bring the tools that they intend to use. We have begged our legislators to put community care and safety first. And what we saw was that after the uprise sparked by the murder of George Floyd, and that happened very heavily in Richmond, which I was involved in organizing, legislators reached out to me out of fear. And they said, hey, let's work on these bills that you've been fighting for. And what we ended up getting was weak, watered down legislation, or they killed the bills altogether. Here in Virginia, the Democratic Party is the majority in the House, Senate, and we have a Democratic governor. So they can't blame it on the Republicans. So they continuously throw us crumbs and expect us to, be satisfied with that when we deserve the full course bill. So I made the decision that we have to expand our fight from the streets into the seats of these key elected positions, and that we can no longer beg our oppressors to be our saviors, because they won't. So we worked very hard with next to no money to go meet the signature requirement to get on the ballot. We did against all odds, and their next thing that they could do was try to deprive us of media, deprive us of debates and being included in polls so people would not know that I was a candidate on the ballot.
You speak about money, and this governor's race in Virginia is gearing up to be a very expensive one. According to opensecrets.org, since the start of their respective campaigns, Glenn Youngkin, the Republican, has brought in $35.2 million, while Terry McAuliffe has raised $31.8 million. Princess, talk to me about what it's like to try to run a statewide campaign when you have all this big money. Some of it obvious money, some of it dark money, but all of it coming from both business interests and the political establishment interests to make sure that people like you and your voice and your perspective and the policies that you're running on don't get heard. So how has money factored into the way that your campaign is able to be seen and heard?
Right. So, money is a variable, but it's all in narrative, and the brainwash that the duopoly puts out. They make you think that in order to run, you have to have all of this money. Well, I'm showing you. I'm busting that glass ceiling wide open that that's not necessarily the case. Again, we were able to get on the ballot because we stayed boots on the ground and we did our grassroots activism. We know how to activate people. And once we let people know that we are fighting to ensure that liberation is a human right, not a privilege, that we are fighting to ensure that all legislation is built on the foundation of equity and humanity, we were able to get signatures from Democrats, Republicans, and people who historically voted that way, independents, and people who gave up. So, I'm a strong believer that when a door is closed on you or when a barrier is put up, you kick like hell and create your own opening. And that's what we have been doing. And that is what terrifies the duopoly, especially the Democratic Party. You know, I did an interview today and a reporter said to me, I'm telling you, the Democratic Party is terrified of you. Well, guess what? They absolutely should be. Number one, I am my ancestors' wildest dream, and I refuse to allow our oppressors to continue to be the only people out there that represent as our saviors. We're not going to continue to beg them for what we deserve. We are going to claim it by any and all means necessary.
You're running as a member of the Liberation Party. Can you talk to me about what your platform is, what policies that you think that Virginians are in need of? As you said that, you know, Virginia's blue right now. I mean, it purples hither and thither, but, you know, it's blue. It has Governor Klan hood and or blackface, whichever you decided to believe. Governor Blackface Northam, and the state legislature is controlled by Democrats. So what are some of the policies and some of the things that Virginians are not getting from their elected officials that you know that you could bring should you be elected to the governor's mansion in Richmond?
Absolutely. First, let me say that we are going to paint Virginia fuchsia. Okay. And so, you know, but as governor, you know, what Virginians are not getting is that they are not getting legislators that are uplifting the voices, needs, and concerns of working class Virginians, of the oppressed people. We have two white rich men, you know, who are making decisions about us without input, you know, from us. You know, as governor, I will ensure that no legislation is passed about us without representation from us. You know, some of the key policy stances, which every last one is extremely important, but we are, as governor, I will absolutely pass the bill to end qualified immunity, you know, to hold police officers accountable. That is something that we have been fighting for. That is something that Terry McAuliffe said during the Democratic primaries that he would do. And during the first debate, he walked that back and said that he would not do it. Okay. As governor, I will absolutely declare a climate emergency. Hampton Roads has a huge crisis on their hands. I just went to Southwest Virginia where they're fighting the Mountain Valley pipeline and all of the harm that in itself can cause. You know, as governor, we also need to continue to address Medicare for all. Again, let me just go back a little bit and talk about the Liberation Party. When we say liberation is a human right, not a privilege, we're saying housing for all, housing secure, food sovereignty, Medicare for all. What we're fighting for is at the very bottom of Bloom's taxonomy, just for survival. And that's what hurts the most, is that we are fighting for equity and humanity in every last one of our policy stances, from education to healthcare to housing to LGBTQIA plus rights. We're fighting for equity and humanity. And as governor, I will absolutely ensure that liberation is a human right, not a privilege for all Virginians.
So, Princess, what can people do that live in Virginia and even who live outside of Virginia? Because we're getting people in the chat asking, you know, how can they send you support? How can they support your campaign? Guide us, sis. Where can people go to find more information about you and to give you material support? Because, you know, we need money out here in order to win some of these elections. So how can people find you?
I love to hear it and love the question. I say all the time, this time it's different. And, you know, some things that each and every one of us can do, regardless as to where you live at, is pick up the phone, help share the information widely. We know that we're being cut off from mainstream, but we are not cut off from mass media. So help share the word widely. If you live in Virginia, pick up your phone, start with 10 people in your contacts, call them, share information about my candidacy, about the Liberation Party, and follow up to make sure that we mobilize them to the polls. And so I'm a strong believer in that we must enlighten, empower, and mobilize, you know, our community members in order for us to ensure liberation is a human right, not a privilege. You can find out more information about my campaign at www.princessblandon.com. We're always open to donations. We appreciate them. More importantly than money is helping us to spread the word and to mobilize our community members to the polls. The numbers are in our favor. For 2013, when Terry McAuliffe won, 43% of registered voters voted. 2017, when Northam won, 47% of registered voters voted. So we have a lot of votes out there that are ready to claim. And so we must go ahead and do just that, follow through with the mobilization.
Absolutely. Listen, I'm so encouraged to know that even someone like you is out there running against the duopoly, as you mentioned. You know, Terry McAuliffe and Glenn Youngkin are very underwhelming candidates. And I don't think that either one of them actually are the right decision for Virginia. But of course, that is up to Virginians to do that. And let me send you some central VA love, because my people from Charles City County, Virginia. So we love you out there, our VA in central Virginia. So Ms. Blanding, we are so grateful, number one, that you made time for us, but we are here to stand in support of you, your third party candidacy, and your historical run for governor for the Commonwealth of Virginia. We appreciate you making some time for us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, we have been speaking with none other, the irreplaceable, the erudite, man, the bout it. I love it. Princess Blanding. She is the Liberation Party candidate for governor of Virginia. She is on the ballot, Virginians. So she is there and waiting for your vote. If you got people in Virginia, you're not actually a Virginia resident, call your folks in Virginia and tell them that they need to go out there and vote for Princess. And we know that Virginia actually has somewhat recently in the past, I want to say a year or two, maybe a little longer, somewhere in there. But anyway, people who are formerly incarcerated, who had felonies on their record, can now vote in Virginia. So if you got people who may have some, felonious things in the background, let them know that they can vote. And I think they probably need to contact the Board of Elections, or there's some sort of process for that. I hope it's a minimal process. But formerly incarcerated people can vote in the state of Virginia. So definitely spread the word. Princess Blanding is on the ballot, and she's here to change Virginia. Thank you all so much for